Hey guys, we got something pretty crazy today, doing a power steering line. It's what the old line looked like, rotted. It just fell right off of there. So there's where it plugs in. And there is a metal plate that holds down those two lines. It gets bolted onto that stud. Here's what the replacement looks like. See, it's got that metal plate. So to get that metal plate off, I actually had to take my little Dremel tool with a cutter on it, cut that plate in half. So there's a kind of like a lip on this. That way I could get down to this point. So what I'm gonna try to do, I've tried everything to get that out, soaked it down, tried getting a flathead underneath the lip, the little edge there that looks copperish color. Yeah, it's just so pitted on the aluminum. I don't have the flashlight on my camera. You can't really see how pitted the rack and pinion is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this extractor bit. It's like a four-sided. I like this style better than the spiral. I'm gonna see if I can hammer that in there, heat it up with the torch, and get it out. I had to drop my sway bar link. The 4 bolts actually came out, no snapping or anything, which is awesome. I dropped the sway bar link because it was in the way. Now I have room to get a hammer blow on my bit and get it sunk in there good. So that's what I'm going to try on this one. It's pretty crazy. Alright, here we are. I decided to get my radiator hose out of the way so I can get a straight shot on that extractor. What's cool is these extractors, you can put a 12-point socket on. Awesome. So you don't have to put a T-bar on them. I've ran into this situation once or twice before. I had a Trailblazer. I actually had to take the rack and pinion out to extract it. Once you get it out, you can take like a Dremel with a grinding bit. I got all different types here. You know, grinding bits like that. And you can go down the sides of those fittings very carefully. You gotta have a steady hand to do it so that you can kind of like split them open from the inside without hurting the inside of the rack where it seals. That's one way to do it. We're gonna see if we can extract one. We'll try it this way. Got my torches ready. I'm gonna kind of just heat up that fitting a little bit and then see what happens. Hey guys, check it out. Got it out. There it is right there. You can see all that nastiness right there. Corrosion. It's gross. Got our O-ring on the end there. But it worked. I started turning it without heat. Didn't seem like it was budging. I gave it a little heat, sprayed everything down with water around it. A little close to the CV boot there. Everything pretty much out of the way there. So yeah, it worked. Let's go. It looks pretty nasty down in there. Hopefully this new line seals. We'll get it nice and cleaned up. Okay, from the top of the engine, that power steering line plugs in up underneath there, underneath the power steering pump. I just put a screwdriver in there to stop the pulley from spinning. And 10 millimeter got those cracked free. They're not out, but they're cracked free. So now we're going to take the belt off. To get the belt off, down in here we need a 3/8 drive ratchet. Let's see if I can focus down in there. Can't really. Anyways, right in the middle there, there's a hole for a 3/8 ratchet to decompress the tensioner. Let's get that belt off. I'm going to do it from the bottom because I got a hoist. Don't have to take that intake off from the bottom. We've got our pulley off and now we can see our line. Our power steering line right underneath that bolt. It's an 18 millimeter. And we also got a hold down bolt right there. Looks like an 8 millimeter. That's the hold down for that hose there. So you can fit a stubby 18 in there, or you can take a 18 from the bottom so that you can get more torque on it. They're very hard to take off. They're in there tight. The other thing you can do is cut it right behind that nut. You know, get some side snips, some cutters, or a Dremel tool with a cutter bit on it. Cut the line off and put an 18mm socket on a ratchet and get it that way. Use like an 18mm deep well coming back so you have room for your ratchet. So I'm gonna get that line off and that 8mm hold down bolt. Alright, finally got her to crack free. I cut off the end of the metal line right before the fitting with my Dremel tool. And I couldn't crack it free with a ratchet on there. I had to take this little cover off right there. See, I set it to the side so I could get a bar on my ratchet. Then it finally cracked free. Now we're spinning, people. Nice. Let's get that end of the line off. We're ready to put our new line in, and this is tricky because these are super stiff. These fittings, you can't really turn them with your hands. Barely getting a turn on it. This one, I've got the plastic seal on there, the nylon seal, and it's gonna go up in there where we took the old fitting out. But this is the tricky part, is threading it in there without cross-threading it. And we got our old line here. You're gonna want to transfer over that metal bracket onto your new hose if it didn't come with it. I'm gonna try to get this threaded in there. It's tight quarters. If you're not good with tight quarters, you might want to get your shroud off or something like that. I mean, you can even unbolt the power steering unit real easy with those 3 bolts. You got one hose going to it there. You know, if you're just trying to get it to thread in there. It's tight quarters. I went with taking the power steering pump out of there. I didn't disconnect the hose. I just took it out of its little groove to get this line started in there. It was such a pain to get started. But she started in there now. She's still a little loose, so that I can finagle it back in there. Now I can do my final tightening once I have the pump mounted back in place. Alright, I cleaned up my rack and pinion port as best as possible. Tough to get in there. It's a little nasty on the outside, but cleaned it up with the wire wheel on my Dremel tool. I don't have that top hose tightened all the way down or the mounting bracket on yet. There's a little hold down bracket. I'm gonna tighten that fitting up at the top there last, after I get everything hooked up here. So we've got our new little piece here. It's got this little plate. We're gonna go ahead and put that on. We've got our power steering line tightened down there, and it's a little sloppy. I mean, I can still turn it. It's a little sloppy. So I wanna check that it doesn't leak before I put everything back together. I might have to fabricate me a little washer to tighten this up, because the rack just had so much corrosion to clean out from the port there. So yeah, hook my radiator hose back up, gotta tighten that hose clamp, put the belt back on, and put some fluid in the power steering, start it up, and see if we got any leaks before I put my sway bar and everything back together. I'm just gonna run it for a little bit, so I'm not gonna add coolant back yet. Just gonna pressurize that power steering. I still gotta tighten up that fitting there, so I'm gonna bring it down, tighten up that fitting, fill up the power steering fluid, and check for leaks before I put everything back together again. I gotta put the belt back on. And the pulley for the power steering. The aftermath of this job. Got her all done. So the pulley went back on the power steering. That tightened up that fitting first. Put the belt back on. And filled up the power steering reservoir with transmission fluid. That's what it takes. Coolant got filled back up. Took it for a drive. Got it up to temperature. Let it cool down. Double check all your fluids. And yeah, no leaks on that rack and pinion. And we're good to go. Put that little cover back up on the top. Put my sway bar link back together. Excuse me, sway bar. So yeah, just put everything back together, double check the fluids after a drive, job's done.